The importance of maintaining social presence and teacher presence in an online classroom. One of my biggest concerns with gearing my classroom towards online learning is how will my students interact with each other and me in a meaningful way while they continue their path of education. My paper shows how you can increase both social presence and teacher presence while offering a program in an online format. In the literature review part of my paper, I will review how designers should keep in mind of the community of inquiry model, as well as review the importance of decreasing transactional distance. In the application part, I will talk about a few different options for learning management systems that can be used, and I will discuss different ways technology can be used for synchronous and asynchronous interactions. Garrison, Anderson, and Archer wrote an article in 2000 entitled Critical Inquiry in a Text-Based Environment, Computer Conferencing in Higher Education. This diagram indicates the importance of three different presences: the social presence, the cognitive presence, and the teaching presence. Another presence that is important in online education is emotional presence. In the article, The Community of Inquiry and Emotional Presence by Majewski, Stover, and Vallet from 2018, describes emotional intelligence as having four components: emotional presence, emotional facilitation, emotional understanding, and emotional management. As well, they describe as emotional perception as the ability to recognize one's own and others' feelings. As well, they describe emotional understanding as the ability to grasp why we feel the way we do and how our different feelings relate to each other. According to Majewski et al., the instructor's emotional perception and understanding can help create a sense of safety and comfort in the online classroom and set the foundation for learner success. Once this secure climate has been established, it can allow for a more vibrant experience in online learning communities. Gunawardena conducted studies at two different computer conferences, and the results of these studies showed that adjustments need to be made in a reduced queue environment. For example, when using only audio in an online environment, people have to be aware that you can't see their head nod, and instead people should say, "I agree" or "I disagree." As well, when there is no audio being used, people can use emojis to help indicate their feelings while they're writing. The studies showed that interactions could still be interesting and stimulating while being completely online. In 2020, FIOC compiled a list of instructional activities for each of the three presences from the community of inquiry model for each of the 7 principles of good practices. This is an excellent resource to keep in mind when designing an online classroom. Moore, in 1997, wrote an article called The Theory of Transactional Distance, where he describes the inverse relationship between structure, dialogue, and autonomy. In 2018, Bolliger and Halupa wrote an article called Online Student Perceptions of Engagement, Transactional Distance, and Outcomes. In this article, they describe that student engagement can decrease perceptions of transactional distance, in particular with the faculty member, and this leads to the attainment of positive learning outcomes. Therefore, one can say that increased teaching presence could minimize transactional distance. Instructional designers first need to choose a learning management system. The 3 that I'm going to talk about today are Google Suite for Education, Moodle, and Edmodo. Pros of the Google Suite for Education are that it is easy to use for both teachers and students. As well, it is easy to share files with each other. It is commonly used in Nova Scotia, so most teachers from Nova Scotia are very familiar with this. Google Classroom is often used as a way for teachers to share daily classroom lessons and assignments. The different communication tools that are built into the Google Suite for Education is that there's a Google-based email system. There is also an app called Google Groups, which acts as a discussion board. And then there's Google Hangouts, which can be used for instant messaging and for small group video conferencing. Google Meet is an app that can be used for large group video conferencing. Unfortunately, right now it appears that only the teachers have access to the apps Google Groups, Google Hangouts, and Google Meet in Nova Scotia, but I imagine that they will re-enable that functionality for the students as well, what with the current situation we're in with COVID-19. Moodle is unlike the Google Suite in the sense that it does not have its own applications built into the program for word processing, spreadsheets, etc. And neither is it as user-friendly for people who aren't very tech-savvy. But it does have excellent discussion feature. There is an excellent discussion forum and a whiteboard feature. It is easy to upload external files. Real-time chat is available, and there are gamification applications as well. Edmodo has similar interface to Google Classroom, but like Moodle, it lacks its own apps for word processing, etc. But it can integrate with both Google Apps for Education and Microsoft Office. For communication between students and with teachers, there is an internal messaging system. As well, if you want to use video conferencing, you can add the application Zoom very easily to your Edmodo classroom. Now that we've discussed different learning management systems we can use to support online learning, I'd like to talk about synchronous and asynchronous interactions. Synchronous learning is when students are communicating with each other and their teacher at the same time via chat and video conferencing. Synchronous interactions during online learning improves attitudes, encourages earlier completion of coursework, improves performance in tests, allows deep and meaningful learning opportunities, increases retention rates, and builds learning communities, according to an article by Scullo et al. From 2014. Asynchronous learning is when coursework is delivered via message boards and email with no need for all learners to be connected at the same time. A study by Murphy et al. From 2011 showed that some students prefer the email features of asynchronous interactions for their means of communication. Students in a self-paced program did not necessarily benefit from synchronous teaching. Large and small group chats can be used for collaborating. This would help increase a social presence and a teacher's presence in an online classroom. Different video conferencing applications for large groups include Google Meet, Zoom, and Skype. For small groups, one can get away with just using the Google Hangouts application from the Google Suite. Online whiteboards can be used for collaborating among students or in conjunction with screencasting software and can be used for learning sessions with the teacher. Free online video whiteboards include IPEVO Annotator, Envision Freehand Stormboard, AWW, and Miro. Screencasting software is also a great tool for creating tutorial sessions to be used in an asynchronous environment. Screencast-O-Matic and Flashback Recorder Express are both free, and there is a fee for Camtasia. And like Professor Power has already shown us, it is a tool that can also be used for providing feedback to the students in a way that is more personal than just posting a mark online. The literature referenced throughout this presentation show the importance of nurturing both a social presence and a teaching presence in the online classroom. With proper instructional design via a community of inquiry model, students can feel more comfortable and transactional distance can be decreased. Many types of software and applications are available for both synchronous and asynchronous interactions that can be used through various learning management systems. Using different types of software in a variety of ways can allow an online course to be as effective as a face-to-face classroom. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.